At its peak, the Qing dynasty ruled a vast empire across East and Central Asia. This mighty realm was born from some unexpected roots, the Manchus, a people of Tungusic origin. Their ancestors, known as the Jurchens, once ruled northern China under the Qin dynasty, centuries before the rise of the Qing. The Jurchen language, recorded in inscriptions and a distinct script created in the early 12th century, is the first known Tungusic language ever attested. Yet the historical prominence of the Qing contrasts starkly with today's state of the Tungusic languages. According to the highly respected linguist Professor Janhunen, the language family comprises around 15 languages spread over Siberia and Manchuria, a region comparable in scale to the Turkic or Mongolic domains. Today, fewer than 30,000 people speak Tungusic languages. Many are severely endangered and several have vanished completely. From imperial power to near extinction, the story of Tungusic is both remarkable and sobering. And although the Tungusic languages are endangered today, the family remains highly intriguing, full of fascinating features. Join me, Learn Hittite, as we go through an overview of Proto-Tungusic. Let's begin by taking a look at the internal classification of the Tungusic language family. It's important to remember that, as with many internal classifications of language families, there is some disagreement among specialists regarding the exact structure. However, the least controversial classification can be seen on screen now. The initial split into northern and southern branches is widely accepted, and the existence of 4 subgroupings below this initial split is often proposed, though the exact layout and the presence of intermediate nodes is debated. 2 languages, Kili and Kilen, are considered by some authors to be mixed, with morphological and lexical features attributable to different branches, therefore making them difficult to classify precisely. Proto-Tungusic is a reconstruction of the hypothesized common ancestor of the Tungusic languages. While it remains a model, there is reasonable confidence that Proto-Tungusic represents a real, relatively uniform language once spoken by an ancient community. This naturally invites questions about where and when this language was in use. Contemporary scholarly opinion generally places the Proto-Tungusic homeland in eastern Manchuria, though views differ on whether it lay in the southeast or northeast of the region. Current discussions increasingly centre on locating the homeland near the major river basins of the area or around Lake Khanka, whereas earlier proposals placing it in the Lake Baikal region have progressively fallen out of favour. As for its time depth, the latest point at which Proto-Tungusic can be said to have existed is when its first branches began to diverge from the common ancestor. Pinpointing an exact date remains difficult and speculative. However, based on preliminary glottochronological estimates and the presence of shared vocabulary items, Proto-Tungusic is tentatively dated by specialists to the Iron Age, approximately between 500 years BCE and 500 years CE. Phenology. The literature typically describes the Proto-Tungusic vowel system as being organised by contrasts in height, frontness and rounding, comprising a total of 8 vowels with both short and long variants. In non-initial positions, vowel quality was governed by vowel harmony, which extended to suffixes and clitics. There is considerable variation in how vowel harmony is realised across the Tungusic languages, making the precise nature of the system in the Proto-Tungusic language still unresolved. An outline perspective even holds that Proto-Tungusic entirely lacked vowel harmony, viewing its development as a later areal feature, influenced by Mongolic. However, the prevailing consensus maintains that vowel harmony was already present in the proto-language, though its exact form remains unclear. An example of vowel harmony in a Tungusic language is provided below. On screen now is Janhunen's 2023 proposed consonant inventory of Proto-Tungusic. Though reconstructions vary slightly among scholars, this inventory aligns closely with the tested Tungusic languages. See Oskolskaya 2024 for a more detailed discussion. The basic syllabic structures were the following, with consonant clusters permitted medially in multisyllabic roots. Geminates cannot be reconstructed, and some consonants had restricted positions. Examples are shown on screen. Morphology. Proto-Tungusic nouns may be marked for number and case, but the proto-language lacks grammatical gender. The northern Tungusic languages exhibit more complex morphology than their southern counterparts. However, the proto-language itself likely featured an equally rich morphological system. Proto-Tungusic lacked prefixes, but featured a robust and productive system of suffixes. The basic suffix chain is shown on screen. An example from Proto-Nanaic illustrates this structure clearly. The first suffix we see functions as an animal noun class marker and appears in other related forms, as we can see on screen now. The plural suffix, highlighted now, is particularly interesting, as it combines the standard Proto-Tungusic plural marker with the following element, which in late Proto-Tungusic is thought to have served as a derivational class marker for homogeneous masses. However, the evidence suggests that it once functioned as a more general noun class plural marker. Across the later Tungusic languages, there are a number of additional, differing number markers with a varying degree of productivity. The case marker, in this example the accusative, is quite uncontroversial as it has reflexes in all branches and modern languages. And finally here we have the second person singular possessive suffix, which again is trivially reconstructible due to its strong reflexes across most daughter branches. The Tungusic languages exhibit considerable variation in both the number and function of case markers. This therefore makes reconstructing the Proto-Tungusic case system particularly challenging. Some researchers even observed that significant local variation in case inventory and usage can exist within a single language. This diversity is well attested in the literature, especially among the northern Tungusic languages. Nonetheless, several features of the Proto-Tungusic case system can be described with reasonable confidence. It is likely that the elaborate case systems found in some modern Tungusic languages evolved from a much simpler system in the proto-language. The account presented here follows, for the most part, the reconstruction proposed by Janhunen, whose work remains among the most detailed and systematic treatments of the subject. Among the best attested cases, we can find the accusative, used for marking direct objects, and a more problematic, but definitely interesting, partitive designative case. The partitive designative had a dual function. It could indicate a partial or indefinite object, so essentially like saying some of something, and also serve a designative role, which, as Janhunen puts it, marks something done for the benefit of somebody. In modern daughter languages, this case can cover a range of related functions, including the indefinite object, beneficiary, and destinative meanings. A range of terms can be found in the literature to denote this case, including, at times, the simple label of the second accusative. The earliest local cases that can be reconstructed are the locative, ablative and dative. Janhunen notes a connection between the dative marker and the Proto-Tungusic meaning inside or interior. It's possible that this form was, at some point, grammaticalized into a case marker. In the daughter languages, it is often found in combination with other case suffixes. It's likely that a number of secondary cases developed across the language family as a result of the reinterpretation of postpositions as case markers. Additionally, the instrumental, prolative and directive are securely reconstructible Proto-Tungusic cases. Numerals. The first systematic reconstruction of the basic cardinal numerals in Tungusic was presented by Benzing in his pioneering 1955 work. Inside this work we can also find a tentative projection of the numerals to a more archaic stage. Very interesting indeed. Subsequent linguists such as Starostin in 1991 have proposed alternative reconstructions differing only slightly from Benzing's originals. Of note, Blazek suggests that the second consonant in the word for 9 may have originally been a nasal, based on fragmentary data from certain southern Tungusic dialects recorded in the 18th century. Person marking and pronouns. At the proto-language level, personal pronouns and the related person markers can be reconstructed for the first person singular and plural in Proto-Tungusic. Third person markers are also reconstructible, and although third person pronouns likely existed, their presence in only one daughter branch makes their reconstruction less certain. Proto-Tungusic person markers were suffixed to verbs and nouns. The first person plural likely distinguished between inclusive and exclusive forms in both pronouns and markers. Several general patterns are evident in person and pronominal marking. First and second person were differentiated by consonants and vowel quality indicated number in Proto-Tungusic. As mentioned earlier, prefixes were entirely absent in Proto-Tungusic, and even in the modern Tungusic languages, prefixes are exceedingly rare. Instead, suffixes ruled the day. Proto-Tungusic verbs were mandatorily marked with suffixes to express a range of grammatical meanings, from aspect and tense to mood, modality, derivational functions, and more. The typical order of affixes in a Tungusic verb form is on screen now alongside an example, and the Proto-Tungusic word order was subject, object, verb. For those who may be interested, we now have a selection of Proto-Tungusic vocabulary on screen now. While no comprehensive study has yet been conducted on the proportions of shared vocabulary across all Tungusic languages, it has been observed in the literature, perhaps Unsurprisingly, given their close genetic relationship, that a significant amount of shared lexicon exists. This includes a high rate of shared basic vocabulary within each branch and a slightly lower but still substantial rate between branches. Key areas of overlap are probably in those areas that we would expect: pronouns, numerals, spatial terms, and basic verbal and nominal roots. Well, that's going to be it from me for today. I do hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of Proto-Tungusic. Most of the reconstructions and most of the data that I used to put this video together, as you've probably noticed already, I think I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, is from this book, the Tungusic Languages. It's part of the Routledge Language Family series. I highly recommend this book. I recommend all the books in the series, to be honest. And actually the paperback version and the electronic version, it's reasonably priced. It's well worth the value that you're getting. Great read. I've really enjoyed getting stuck into that book. As always, you've been fantastic. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all that good stuff for the algorithm. If you know a friend who might be interested in this video or videos similar to it, please share it with them. I'll be back very soon, hopefully with another interesting video. Goodbye for now.